which created a lot of their offense. But look at that first half field goal percentage, 70%. Let's see after a week of finals, Guy, if they can duplicate that again here tonight.
USC wins the tip for the second game in a row without Terrence Williams, who plays more minutes than anybody else for the Trojans.
That's what was interesting, Guy, about that game in Seattle, is that was right after they found out Terrence Williams was going to be out for a while.
So that means a bigger load for the leading scorer, Desmond Claude. He averages 14.
Again, we're not going to keep going back to that game last week, but the one difference I saw offensively was that it wasn't Desmond Claude. It wasn't the ball in his hands a lot. It was St. Thomas. It was Wesley Yates getting his first start against his former team. And I think moving forward for USC, when they're going to be right, it isn't one guy getting 20 or 30. It's a lot of guys getting involved on the offensive end.
Jabe Mullins inbounded after the Josh Cohen foul. And Jabe Mullins needs a timeout 32 seconds into the game. Well, the other headline for Montana State is Max Agbonkpolo, the former USC Trojan. Played his first 3 years at USC, then goes to Wyoming, then Utah State. Now in his 6th year for Montana State. He averages 12 points a game, and he's coming back home to Southern California.
Not that I don't feel old every day already, but when I heard that Max Agbonkpolo's in his 6th year, that made me feel old. He's been around for a while. He's had success at all his stops, but finishing his college career here at Montana State, off to a pretty good start.
Preseason in one of the preseason polls, Big Sky, preseason #1 team. They went to the NCAA tournament last year after winning the Big Sky tournament. So Jabe Mullins is going to get it in and get it back.
Yeah, they were the 5 seed in that Big Sky tournament last year and won it, got to the NCAA tournament. Montana State's been to the NCAA tournament 3 years in a row.
It's a very good program.
Yeah, they're used to playing this level of competition. This is going to be a good game tonight. I hope USC doesn't think they're just going to show up and win this one.
Brandon Walker, the leading scorer for Montana State, held the ball a lot of that first offensive possession. And now here's Cohen getting doubled.
Most teams have doubled Cohen this year when he gets it down there on the block. He's pretty good offensively as Abo gets the roll for the 3.
Interesting that SC hits the first 3 of the night. Yeah. That is what Montana State does at a very high level. They take a ton of threes. They make a ton of threes.
Yep.
41% of their points come on threes, which is the 15th highest percentage in the nation.
Well, that's one of the reasons, though, that Eric Musselman likes big guards, is to guard the three-point line. It's hard to see over the top of the 6'6", 6'7" guys that are out front. So we'll see how that plays out here tonight. If Montana State not only gets as many attempts as they normally make, but how many of those attempts do they actually make?
Turnover and then a foul from Desmond Claude, second team foul for the Trojans. Eric Musselman, first year, of course, at USC after the very successful tenure at Arkansas, reached the NCAA tournament 3 of the last 4. He's trying to find the right recipe. They've used a ton of different lineups. They've had the freshmen all start.
But you just wonder, Guy, did they turn the corner last week in Seattle? But to me, they put it all together on both sides, and I think that can give you a lot of confidence. You hate it as a coach, though. You have your best game of the year, and then you're off for a week, and guys are in finals. So that's why I said right off the top, how does USC come out? What's their disposition to start this one tonight?
Brandon Walker just bullies his way inside for the bucket. Finals started on Wednesday, and they go through Wednesday. Right. So there's some players that will have, study hall tonight after the game.
Well, Brandon Walker's a load down there. Not big, not going to be an above-the-rim guy, but really good feet. And you saw it on that last play, able to get around defenders, get to a spot, and finish plays.
This is Wesley Yates with his first shot of the night. He's coming off the 19 points in a 37-minute outing against Washington.
That had to give him a jolt of confidence, that game in Seattle last week. And they ran the first play of the game for him, going back to his old school in Washington, and he completed that first play. And I think it just got him off on the right foot and continued to play well the rest of the night.
It was his first start of the year. Now here's Walker backing in on Cohen. And he gets blocked by Abo with 7 on the shot clock.
It looks like the game plan is Cohen's going to have to guard Walker straight up and then bring late help if he gets too deep. He scored on the last possession. This time it looked like he was going to score, and Abo comes from the backside and knocks it out of bounds.
There's Jabe Mullins, who gets pressured into a turnover, and then Yates volleyball swats it up ahead. St. Thomas in traffic, and he gets fouled on the floor by Patrick McMahon.
That's what you like about this USC team. When they get stops or rebounds, anyone can bring it in transition. A lot of the time it's Claude, but St. Thomas will bring it, Yates will bring it. But to me, like with most teams, Guy, it starts on the defensive end. If this USC team is going to compete in the Big Ten this year, their defense is going to have to be locked in every night.
Tough shot for Yates, and then Cohen can't corral. It goes out of bounds to the Trojans. Quad gets it into Abo. Tough shot, Abo. We got the bounce on the three a couple possessions ago, but not there.
They do that a lot with those big guards, USC. They identify mismatches and then go after them.
Agbon Polo back out to Walker.
A great feat, Walker, for a guy that big.
Claude.
They turn down a lot of threes to get to that. Because of their size, they feel like they can get in the paint and score over the top of smaller guys guarding them. That time, Claude couldn't finish. Might have gotten hit.
Mullins a three, in and out.
But to me, guys, looking ahead, there has to be balance. And they made 7 threes against Washington last week. They can't continue to turn down threes because teams will stop closing on them or short close on them. And now the paint's clogged.
Cohen battles for that rebound and scores.
One area Cohen, and he's not playing a ton of minutes, about 17 minutes a night. Rebounding. He's got to rebound it better. He's just over 2 rebounds a game. At his size, see him on the offensive board that time, but rebounding his defensive board, he's got to contribute more in that area. One area USC really needs to get better at is that defensive rebounding.
Walker throws an interception to St. Thomas, who converts with the dunk. But for all the Montana State loves to shoot threes thing, they've taken 1.
Well, but that's the thing, guy. When the scouting report is the scouting report, USC knew that, so they're going to take away the line, and even that's a tough shot from behind the three-point line.
A deep one from Tyler Patterson. Claude stuck. Abo hits another, his second of the night. A fast start for the Trojans. And they are carrying over. You thought it was a week ago since they had that hot game against Washington. It doesn't look a week old tonight.
Defense locked in, everybody getting in the act. USC up big early.
Here at the Galen Center at USC, and Big Ten basketball on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by Jeep. Montana State, having won 4 of their last 5, making their 3rd appearance against a Big Ten team already this season. Off to a very slow start. They've already used 2 of their timeouts. We welcome those of you that just watch Oregon dominate and win. And there's only one place you can conclude a quadruple header done, and that's in the Pacific time zone. So
that's right. A similar start to last week up in Seattle for USC. They jumped UW early and never looked back. It looks very similar here tonight, especially on the defensive end. Active, engaged, active hands, and creating turnovers and missed shots and going down the other way. 12-point lead. We're only 5 and change in.
With Don McClain, Guy Haberman, and a USC team that looks very good after a week off. Randy Richardson, Vern Harris, Jason Phillips are officials tonight.
One area, if Montana State, they've only attempted 2 threes so far. They'll start to look to get more drive and kick game going. USC's got to continue to do a good job of keeping guys in front.
Brian Garacki gets blocked by Desmond Claude. It's just been hard to find any airspace. The 2 threes that Montana State has taken were contested.
Well, what's the difference in levels when you're talking about the Big Sky and the Big Ten? It's usually size and athleticism. And so shots that Montana State could normally get when they play in the Big Sky just aren't available here, especially with the size of the perimeter guys that we've been talking about. Claude, Abo, now Noling in. They could really guard that three-point line.
Wesley Yates on the switch. Yates, tough shot attempt, and that gets swatted by B.J. Colley. Ball will stay with the Trojans with 9 on the shot clock.
Listen, Yates is a very talented scorer. Redshirt freshman, has shown the ability to score, getting just over 8 points a game in 17 minutes. 18 minutes. But he's learning, too. Like that play there, he wanted to straight line, take his guys. He went into 3 defenders. That's an automatic kick out because somebody's got to be open if there's 3 guys around you.
Claude beats the shot clock, and it's a 16-2 start. But that's part now with the situation that USC is in with Terrence Williams out. You know, living with some of that freshman growth is just part of the deal.
Listen, it's not unique to Wesley Yates. That's for all guards in college basketball, figuring out what the right play is every time to make.
Here he is. He'll fire a 3. And look at that reach from Rashawn Agee, who goes way up to bring down the rebound.
He had his best game of the year last week in Seattle, 15 points.
Well, you just wonder if he had not suffered from back spasms in the shoot-around the day of the Oregon game, would that result have been different?
If he gave him the production in that game that he's done last week and to start this one, probably.
Big 3 from the former Trojan, Max Agbonkpolo.
They needed that.
They were 1 of 8 shooting before that 3. Claude gets bumped and fouled by Bryce Zephyr. Second team foul for the Bobcats.
The scouting report on Claude is that's what he wants to do, get in the lane. He's not going to shoot a lot of threes. Because of his size, once he gets 2 feet in the paint, he can get over the top of people guarding him. But the scouting report is you can't continue to put him on the foul line because that's what he wants. Make him make tough shots if he wants to get into the lane.
Here's Claude. Agee. Agbonkpolo on him. Spins from the double and scores.
Good patience there, too, by Agee. Waited to see if the double was coming. It didn't. Once it clears, go to work.
I think there might have been some concern with finals. We're in the middle of finals week that maybe the Trojans would get off to a slow start. That has not been the issue.
Well, the tough part is they have another game on Wednesday, so hopefully guys are finished with finals by then.
Yeah, they'll be bouncing around on Wednesday. That'll be the last day. Here's Matt Nolan, who came in off the bench for Wesley Yates. We got to check Don McClain's scoring line on finals week. Think any effect?
It's a good question, Guy. Maybe we'll answer it when we come back from break.
I think research is going to need a little more time. USC, a 15-point lead to start. And off the bench, Rashawn Agee is looking fresh. points tonight, led by Abo.
You like that guy because you're less predictable. If you have one guy that's trying to get 25 or 30, teams can game plan for that. But this USC team's got a lot of good, experienced players that can score. And the last game we've referenced in Seattle, and then again tonight, everyone's getting involved.
AG goes flying inside and forces the contact and draws the third team foul on Montana State.
Agbonkpolo goes for the steal, gambles, doesn't get it. Clears a lane for AG. Gets himself 2 free throws. Here's the thing.
Get the rest.
Looking ahead here, a dangerous three-point shooting team in Montana State. So if USC starts watching the scoreboard and takes their foot off the gas, this is a team that can get hot and get themselves right back in it with their three-point shooting.
And their experience, right? It's a veteran group.
Yep.
This is not a young team they're playing here. Bryce Zephyr, who's from Carson, he's from Southern California, has checked into the game. But another miss. I mean, right now, Montana State has twice as many turnovers as they do field goals. AG again. Claude just tosses it up. AG bails him out and then gets the foul.
That was kind of an either-or. You like the unselfish play by Claude, but I thought he should have pulled the trigger at the elbow jumper. He kept it moving. And once he gets by this defender, refuses that screen, like that's pull-up right there.
Just at the elbow?
Yeah. But AG gets 2 free throws nonetheless.
Foul was on BJ Colley, his first.
Just wonder how, and it looks good tonight, you know, basically with the balanced scoring we've talked about. But once USC really gets into Big Ten play, how are teams going to guard this USC team? Because they're just not shooting a lot of threes. And if you're not shooting a lot of threes, how is the paint going to be open? And so it'll be something to watch as USC really gets going in Big Ten play after the first of the year.
This is where this week, you know, the next 2 games after this, such a big deal probably if you're looking at for Yates, right? Getting himself ready. Made his first start last week. He'll have more starts in all likelihood by the end of the year. Foul on the floor against USC. It's on Matt Noli, his first.
I think like any talented freshman, Yates is no different. He's going to have some really good stuff, and he's going to have some stuff that he needs to learn from. But he's a confident kid. And I think now that he's gotten a lot of reps and we're into the season here, he's only going to continue to get better.
Good to see Clark Slackert back into action for USC as that gets knocked out of bounds off of Montana State. Good defense from St. Thomas there. Slackert has missed the last 3 games because of a concussion suffered against St. Mary's. You can see him there 32 in white and handling the ball now.
Yeah, backup point guard for this USC team, but can score. And so if he's the one guy on this team, him and Abo, they want to shoot threes. They're not turning them down. They want clean looks from behind the line.
Transition, missed opportunity, and SC takes it back. St. Thomas directing traffic now.
Full fronting AG now.
Noling. Thomas in rhythm from Slackert, knocks it down.
You don't have to do that a lot, but you got to do it some just to keep the defense honest. I like that. Slackert driving kick. St. Thomas ready to go and knocks it down.
A 3 of 5 from 3 tonight is USC.
We said in the open, they shot 70% in the first half last week in Seattle.
An offensive rebound before the shot, a foul. It's on AG. It's his first and the 4th team foul for USC.
Noling with the kick out, then simple driving kick. But that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, Montana State isn't worried about USC's three-point shooting until they keep going like they are tonight. They just have to make enough. They don't have to make a ton.
It's the second time they've needed a timeout on that inbounds, and now there's one timeout left for Montana State. They called their first timeout on that same situation 30 seconds into the game. Matt Logie, I mean, he's had so much success at Montana State. Sorry, Don, he replaces Danny Sprinkle, who 2 years ago went to Utah State, now is at Washington.
Obviously, there's a culture there, and Danny Sprinkle did awfully well there. But there's a culture there now that, you know, they expect to win. They expect to compete. They expect to get to the Big Sky Tournament Championship and go to the NCAA tournament. And so I'm a little surprised, aren't you, at the start of this one?
Yes.
But you got to give credit to USC. They were ready to go, and they have jumped on Montana State.
Especially because, you know, you talk about the size, the athleticism. They played Wisconsin to start the year. You can see the result. They almost knocked off Northwestern in a tie game with less than a minute there. So this is not a team. This is not an intimidation. This is not anything like that.
I think USC is showing that how capable they can be, especially on the defensive end.
And they go back to Brandon Walker, which was the focus of the first few possessions, and he gets the foul and the basket. It's on Clark Slackert. And now Walker, who's a 59% free throw shooter, steps to the line.
You mentioned the two games they have after this, guy. I think they're important. I think tonight's game and then another two to really figure out, you know, what this is supposed to look like, USC, before they get into Big Ten play or really get into Big Ten play.
They'll play CSUN out of Northridge and Southern before the year is out. Slacker opens it up for AG, who throws it down.
Another driving kick from Slacker, that time on the drop-off down low. Good find.
Mullins stepped back. And Montana State is 3 of 15 in this first half.
God, they have 8 points. We got 9 minutes left in the half.
Maybe it's something in the building. The USC women held their opponent, Elon, today to 30 total.
I would imagine Montana State's going to get to 30 at some point.
Noling can't finish. If they don't get to 30, the next visiting team is going to have to clear some spirits out of the visitor locker room.
Nothing easy for Montana State in this first half.
That's a clean look, one of the cleanest of the night, but Mullins can't make the shot. And then a foul's committed by Jeremiah Davis. Let's go back to the AG dunk.
I think they thought Slacker was going to maybe run her floater game, but he drops it off to AG. Everything working for USC tonight here in the first half.
AG's got 8 of the last 11 points for the Trojans, and he's off the bench tonight. Eight minutes remaining here in the first half. St. Thomas scores.
Some of that wheel action out top just to get the defense moving, and then when you get it off the handoff, can you straight line drive it? St. Thomas, easy down the lane finish.
Walker has slackered on him. Here's Walker forcing his way inside, taking advantage of the matchup and getting the foul on Slacker, his second.
St. Thomas came alive last week in Seattle, but he's multi-talented, multi-dimensional, affects the game in a lot of ways. Big finish there, USC cruising.
The floor here at Galen for a matchup with CSUN out of Northridge. Coverage begins at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Well, the score tells you a lot. 8 points, 5 Montana State turnovers. So SC's got 8 points off turnovers. Montana State has 8 points.
Yeah, but to me, the offense has been good for USC, but it's been the defense. Montana State coming in attempts 27 three-point shots a game. They've only gotten 6 here in the first 12-plus minutes. So SC doing a great job of closing out, keeping guys in front so there isn't any drive and kick game. And Montana State is struggling to score.
Brandon Walker misses that free throw. Montana State's also a good three-point defense, and SC's had some good looks today. And they've made 3 of their 6.
You have to guard against their wings getting into the lane. You have to stop that. So they'd rather stop that than give up threes.
Yeah.
They'll live with USC shooting threes. But hopefully USC can continue to build from the three-point line. We keep referencing that game in Seattle last week, but I don't think it's a coincidence that they shot it well in the first half from 3 in that game, and they've started 3 of 6 here tonight.
The 64% against Washington was the 4th best percentage for USC this century and the best in almost 5 years.
Again, don't have to shoot tons of them.
Yeah.
Just make enough of them to keep that defense so that they have to get out there.
Walker. He's the leading scorer with 5 points, and he goes right to the rack to make it 7.
He's good. Their leading scorer, just over 14 a game. They run action for him. He's not just a back-to-the-defender guy. You saw that time. Gave it to him at the free throw line, and he made a play.
Claude cut off. AG, he's been hot. Can't hit that 3. It's tapped out to nobody, and it'll go back to Montana State.
AG's only shot 2 3-pointers coming into this game. So that was his 4th.
Everything else is going down for him, though.
Well, you know what? He's playing so well the last game and a half. Must have let him light a 3 every once in a while.
Well, he doesn't take many, but he does make it. He was 2 of 3 coming into the game from 3. Yeah, well, I guess we'll see if the green light stays on in eternity.
I think AG's one of those players that if he makes it, okay, you earn another one. But if you miss, let's put that one in the back pocket for next game.
A foul away from the ball. It's on Desmond Claude. It's his 2nd, and it's the 7th team foul. So Montana State will head to the free throw line. 1-and-1 free throws coming for Brandon Walker, and the freshman Yates will check back in for Claude after an extended rest.
Eric Musselman's going to figure this out. It hasn't been the greatest start. It hasn't been bad, but, like, this guy can really coach. And so the more the season goes along, I think you're going to see the improvement, and we are right in front of us how well they played last week and then how well they're playing here tonight in this first half.
You go ahead, Don. Eric Musselman doesn't mind Brandon Walker standing up to the free throw line. The official's doing a check to make sure they have the right shooter at the line. It's not going to be Walker.
Walker is a 59% free throw shooter.
So Jeremiah Davis will be at the line. The foul was from Desmond Claude, who's wearing number 1. So Jeremiah Davis at the line. He's 4 of 4 this year. 1-and-1 opportunity for him.
That's what's been impressive. We've been talking about the USC defense and how sharp it's been in this first half. Done a good job of guarding without fouling. It's only the 2nd free throw attempt.
3 of 16 from the floor for Montana State. That's 19%, just under it, as Davis makes both free throws. USC shooting 55% in this first half.
The one thing that's become clear to me, and it was clear at the start of the year too, Guy, when we were here, they have a lot of good players. So, like, guys are competing for minutes. Like, you got to go out there and perform. You got to defend. You got to rebound. St. Thomas knocks down the mid-range because he's got guys on that bench that want to play, that are capable of playing. And so a lot of competition to either earn more minutes or keep your minutes that you're already getting.
It's interesting, all the things that, Eric Musselman has tried to prepare for, all the possibilities. a turnover on the travel from Jeremiah Davis. Not sure who's going to separate, but giving everybody the opportunity.
Right.
He started, basically almost everybody's gotten a chance to start a game.
Well, and that's why I said earlier that they're going to continue to improve, because I think this staff is still learning the players, even though they've had them, but it's a whole new team. We haven't made that point because we did it early in the season. They have one returning player.
Harrison Hornery.
Right.
And he has not appeared much.
No.
He was away from the team for a short period of time due to a family emergency, and he is back with the squad now as Yates hit that jumper.
Elohim, one of those guys, talented freshman. Feels like he can earn some minutes.
Agbonkpolo, the former Trojan. And a foul on Walker created by the hard rebound attempt by Abo.
I mentioned early in the game, rebounding their own board has been somewhat of an issue for USC, but I can tell that they've spent time on it in practice. It's a much more concerted effort. Guys seem a little more attentive to that area of the game the last few games.
So far, don't look like they're playing the score.
No.
And you know who's not coaching the score? Nice move by Thomas.
See, you can do that. I don't know why, Guy. I was going to bring this up. I don't know why every time St. Thomas does something, I say his full name. Like most guys, I just use their last name, but for some reason, I say St. Thomas every time.
You know, I'm glad
I don't know why.
Just for people who maybe haven't watched the Trojans before, Saint. It's not St. period Thomas as a last name.
Right.
His first name is Saint.
Right.
It's a great name. You want
It's a great name. But I'm not consciously saying I want to say his full name. I just do.
Yeah.
That's my point.
You subconsciously, you like the rhythm of St.
I guess. Thomas is too vanilla, too boring, so I got to go with both. St. Tom, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've been doing it all year.
Don't stop.
Really?
No. Yeah, I think you got to keep going with it. Agbonkpolo, the foul.
Good player, St. Thomas. Had a monster year at Northern Colorado last year. You see, does a lot of things to fill up that stat sheet.
You know, they really feel like he can be really versatile for them this year. On a team that values versatility, no question. But
well, I think he and Claude, are going to have. They don't have a real point guard, but they have guys that can handle the ball and bring it up and initiate offense. And I think St. Thomas and Desmond Claude both can do that. So I think when Claude's out of the game, it's going to default a little bit back to St. Thomas and him, initiating offense.
The foul was on Rashawn Agee, his second. Isaiah Elohim will come out of the game. First appearance tonight for Bryce Pope, the transfer from the University of California, San Diego, UCSD. San Diego native.
Hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities so far this year, Bryce Pope, but had a really good career at UC San Diego. Averaged 18 a game last year, can really shoot it.
They brought in a lot of guys that were double-digit scorers last season. 1-and-1 opportunity for Patrick McMahon. 73% earns the second. Coming up on Tuesday, don't miss a hoops doubleheader when Maryland hosts St. Francis and UCLA takes on Prairie View A&M. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app.
How about UCLA in the last week? Huge win that you and I were at Oregon last Sunday, and then they follow that up, beating Arizona yesterday, neutral site game in Phoenix.
Both games felt like they stole victory from the teeth of defeat.
Right. That's what they do, though. Mick Cronin talks about toughness a lot, and you can't come back and win games on the road or neutral side if you don't have some toughness to you.
Offensive rebound from Yates after the missed three. And battling inside, St. Thomas is going to earn 2 free throws.
You sure it's not just Thomas?
It is. Thomas with 7 points, 10 points for Agee. Thomas has not taken a ton of free throws this year.
No. And you would think with the way he plays that he would. Only his 11th free throw attempt of the season.
And he's now 6 of 11, which, you know, I don't know what you see him at 5 of 10 coming in. There's, you know, that would be surprising if at the end of the year you look up and he's a 50% free throw shooter, but he's just not taking a lot.
Well, we just kind of talked about how he and Claude are similar in the big perimeter players that can handle, get into lane. Claude's shot 56 free throws so far this year. So the difference between the two, it's pretty interesting.
You know, they're both creators for this offense.
I think St. Thomas is more of a facilitator than Claude. Claude's more of a scorer looking for his own than St. Thomas.
Agbong-Polo with the bucket. He's had a couple of nice shots for Montana State.
You just wonder if Montana State can really get back into this game without making threes, though. They got to find a way and give USC's defense credit. They have just taken it away.
Josh Cohen with the basket. You know, I think that's a big picture question when it comes to league play. Cohen starts, but you know, you look up, he'll play 25 minutes, somewhere in that range.
We'll talk about that after the break, guys.
Great idea. 3:26 remaining here in the first. Today, dominant victory for the USC Trojan women's basketball team. Crowd leaves, open the doors back up. Crowd comes back in to see the men off to a fast start.
Getting back to your question about Josh Cohen, look, Eric Musselman has a lot of roster flexibility. They can match up to teams. They can make teams match up to them. And Cohen is a skilled big guy that's got great touch. He can score. Unfortunately, he's not rebounding the ball as well as they probably need him to. And so I think he'll continue to start to give him some size up front. But AG is a much better rebounder than him. So I think a lot of it will depend on who they're playing to how many minutes Cohen plays, even if he does start.
A foul on Cohen, battling for position underneath with Chika Naduka. That's the second on him, and the 9th team foul on USC. Bryce Pope remaining in the game for the Trojans.
Here the USC assistant coach is screaming no fouls.
Agbong-Polo. And that's knocked out of bounds off of Montana State.
Well, that's the one way a team, you know, when you talk about teams coming back in a game, everybody thinks about fast breaks and turnovers. Really, the comebacks that I've seen the most are when the game gets choppy, the clock stops, you're putting the other team at the free throw line, and they just kind of grind their way back into it. And I think that's why the USC coaches are saying that. The last thing you want to do is give Montana State some hope by letting them get points with the clock stopped.
Zephyr.
It's interesting. You can tell Montana State thinks they have shots. Against teams they normally play, they are shots, but not against the size on the perimeter of USC.
Good look there from Brian Garacki, who's a 45% three-point shooter.
Well, if you're Montana State, you see a couple go in right before halftime. Maybe it gives you a little more momentum, a little confidence heading into halftime.
That was a difficult pass to catch, but it does stay with the Trojans with 12 on the shot clock.
Noling's got to create a better angle. He can dribble over to the side on the wing and have a better angle to enter that pass. That one from straight away over the top's a hard pass, and the longer that ball's in the air, the longer that second defender can come and get it.
And that inbound's thrown away. St. Thomas couldn't connect, and so a turnover for USC. So we are getting some of that choppiness that you're talking about, Don.
I don't remember a game with so many issues getting a baseline out of bounds ball on the court.
Montana State's called timeouts on 2. Montana State has not had consecutive possessions with a made field goal. They've not made consecutive shots in this game. They made their last shot on their last possession This is a tough one, way off the mark. Good defense by Pope. Here comes Thomas. Oh, that's tough. Abo rebound, Abo rebound, Abo rebound, whistle.
The old Moses Malone had the rebounding stats. A nice step through by St. Thomas to avoid the charge, and then Abo just stays with it.
Was that Ricky Davis?
No, that was for the triple-double.
Yeah.
But Moses Malone used to intentionally miss shots to get extra rebound.
Coming up on the State Farm halftime show, the guys in the studio will break down all the first half action, plus a look around the rest of the Big Ten. That's coming up, the State Farm halftime. Dave Repson, Robbie Hummel, Andy Katz. How many cups of coffee has Katz had today?
I was going to say, I can't wait to hear what Repson and Hummel have to say. Just kidding, Andy.
We had fun with Andy last week.
Yeah, we did.
You saw him both days, Seattle and Eugene.
It's fun having a sideline person.
Tough shot for Garacki. From what I saw, you're just continuing the hard time that Robbie's been giving Andy today in the studio. So they got 4 games to cover today. It's a long day. Under a minute remaining here in the first.
Mercifully, they got a 7 p.m. local tip time for the last one.
There's Yates.
See, for him, that is the real next step. He's a driver, slasher, strong kid, can get in the lane. If he can get consistent from behind the three-point line, he becomes really good offensively.
Here's Nolan. And he draws the foul. He went for it.
You can tell when a guy's loading up and he's going to try and turn it over on him. This wasn't going to be a layup ever. Unfortunately, doesn't get it to go down.
That rim on that end of the floor has taken some abuse tonight from AG and now from Nolan. It's only his 9th free throw attempt of the year.
Interesting. USC 31% from 3, which isn't great, but a 74% free throw shooting team, which is pretty good.
You're saying the free throw percentage tells you they have good shooters, the three-point percentage doesn't?
Well, like when you evaluate college players to the next level, they will look at your three-point percentage, but if you have a good free throw percentage, they think that you can become a good three-point shooter because you are proficient at the free throw line.
So maybe there's some ceiling for this team.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that number could go up, that 31% from behind the three-point line.
Shot clock is off. Garacki just hit one, can't bank that in. Yates has time. Abo! And it won't go. So after a 51 point, it's expected to be an extended period of time dealing with a broken wrist suffered here against Oregon in the Big Ten opener.
If any adjustments from Montana State to try and get some clean looks from behind the line. Go into Walker first.
They made just 2 of 11 threes in the first half, did the Bobcats, and Claude goes right at Jabe Mullins and draws the foul. It's a Montana State team that averages 10 made threes per game.
What Desmond Claude really understands, especially in transition, is going to defenders' bodies, going to the contact, make the defender make the decision, not you. So if you're attacking that body in the contact, the defender either has to just let you go and score or they foul you. The one thing you don't want to do, which Mullins did, is not foul him enough to where there could be a potential three-point play opportunity. Either foul him or let him score. Because when you're backing up defensively, it's really hard to get vertical. You have to stop your momentum to stop the offensive player coming, so it puts defenders in a really bad position, what Claude does in transition.
Wesley Yates making his second start in a row for USC. Had a 7-point first half. St. Thomas led all scorers with 13 for the Trojans. And there is Brandon Walker. He averages 14 points per game. He's got 9.
And Matt Logie must think if we establish Walker early, maybe that'll bring some defenders down into the paint and open up some of the perimeter. Found him both times here to start the second half. I'd like to see Yates shoot that one.
Instead, he goes by Agbonkpolo and scores.
And he can do that. We've talked about it already tonight. But if he's open from three, he's going to have to attempt those threes moving forward.
McMahon with the bucket for Montana State. It's tough, as you said, Don. They need threes, but the most effective thing they have tonight so far is getting it inside to Brandon Walker.
Yeah, exactly. And USC's length on the perimeter is a problem.
Abo gets fouled on the arm on the three-point attempt by Tyler Patterson. So he'll shoot 3 free throws. Second foul on the Bobcats. Abo, a 91% free throw shooter.
Previous plays under review for 2 to 3.
The officials are going to look and see if this was a three-point attempt or not. It's ruled three-point attempt on the floor. Was Abo's foot behind the line, his feet behind the line. Let's take a look.
You can see that right foot. Left foot's definitely behind.
Can we tell from here? I think we see some space, some court between the paint and his toe. What do you think?
Yeah. It's a 3.
After review, it's going to be 2 free throws.
He's shooting 2 free throws.
Wow. That was a tough angle for us.
So not a 3 from Abo. .31% shooting in the first half for Montana State. They've made 2 of 3, but USC is playing really well on offense tonight. They're 56% from the floor for the game and 10 of 13. Make that 11 of 14 from the line.
8 guys scored in the first half for USC.
Feel like it happened all in the first 5 minutes. Collins commits the foul, and McMahon will have a chance at a 3-point play.
The adjustment, at least here in the first minute and a half of the second half, is that Montana State's going to try and get movement, get it into Walker, and try and create some twos that may open up that 3-point line. Again, 2 of 11 from 3 in the first half for Montana State. Not up to their standard. 37% as a team.
Cohen is staying in the game, Don, with 3 fouls.
We're into the second half, and as we talked about in the first half, doesn't play heavy minutes anyway. Good find.
Yates.
Like that.
And Walker the board.
I like that Yates, no hesitation, didn't even think about driving that time. Knew he was open, caught it, got his feet down, just missed it.
That's swatted away by Thomas. Possession stays with the Bobcats, and they hit the 3. Tyler Patterson.
Again, USC can't start playing the scoreboard, but they got like one clean look in the first half from behind the 3-point line. That was a clean one there.
There's a clean look for Abo. Now Jay Mullins. And now back to the big man, Walker. Boy, he's quick. Nice finish.
Mentioned it a couple times in the first half. He's got really good feet for a guy that big.
He plays hard, watching him.
They may have to start bringing a second defender to whoever's guarding him.
Yates That's difficult, and he can't squeeze it in. And it'll stay with USC.
I feel like this start to the second half has given Montana State a little bit of life.
Coming up on Wednesday, the Trojans are back on the floor here at the Galen Center for a matchup with CSUN. Coverage begins at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Thomas, nifty.
Are you sure, guy, that we're allowed to call CSUN? You know in the game notes how some schools tell you what's acceptable to call their team?
Yeah.
So do you think CSUN is fine?
It's preferred.
Preferred. How did you know that? You don't have the game notes in front of you.
You can confirm on Wednesday, Don.
Is Cal State Northridge?
Not preferred.
Not preferred. Just Northridge?
CSUN.
Okay, CSUN only.
Yes. But then, you need to add the geographical note so you know what the sun is.
Good strip by Yates.
2-on-1.
Too late. He should have given it up earlier to Abo.
AG. Ball snapping around for the Trojans, and that's the first basket of the night from Matt Noling from the field.
I said it. It felt like Montana State was creating some momentum for themselves, and quickly USC pushes it back out to 25.
Jabe Mullins gets inside, and AG skies for the rebound.
Yelling for this drag screen, Yates and AG.
And AG gets boxed out by Walker.
I feel like both these teams are looking for the media timeout right now.
It does feel that way. This is how the game started, too. Foul on the floor, called on AG. That is his third.
A lot of guys scoring for USC. The ball's moving around, making good decisions. You see USC up 25.
Montana State with the basket out of the timeout.
How does Musselman look so much? Musselman's older than me, and he looks younger than me. And he looks younger than those guys, too.
Well, he said back then he was getting a tan. He was in the sun every day.
You would think that would make you look older later.
You would think. St. Thomas, tough finish inside.
St. Thomas has really come on the offensive end the last couple games. It's good to see. He's been filling up the stat sheet, but offensively, after the first few games, it kind of dropped off, and now he's coming back on the offensive end in terms of point production.
Foul on Desmond Claude.
Got 15 again tonight. Had 19 last week against UW.
Yates will check in for Abo. There's a clean look for Garaki.
Out of the baseline, out of bounds, no less. They went from calling timeouts to getting open looks.
Yeah.
There's your adjustment at halftime.
Right. Claude into traffic, finds St. Thomas, and the loose ball comes away to McMahon. A good contest from Yates. AG, that's tough, and he can't quite get it down, but here is Claude, and he gets fouled.
Pretty good catch by AG. Bigs don't like it on the run going down the middle of the floor, but he was able to get it and at least put it up on the rim and give his teammates a chance to go get the miss. Put it down immediately, got it up on the rim, and then loose ball, Claude gets fouled.
Eric Musselman, I asked him about that photo today. He said he used to practice with the team, and a good team, and then he'd go play pickup at La Jolla Rec Center after practice. Sometimes maybe even after a game if it was a day game.
That team made the NCAA tournament.
Or San Diego, University of San Diego. Musselman is part of what is commonly known as the USD Coaches Mafia.
There's a lot of coaches that have been at USD at some point or another. A lot.
like Mike Brown and Greg Popovich, and Randy Bennett.
But like Kyle Smith, who we're going to see this week at Stanford, was at USD at one point.
David Fisdale.
Yeah.
Longtime NBA coach, former head coach. AG kind of directing traffic there. St. Thomas has 17. He gets doubled. And it's a turnover.
A tough pass. That interior passing net in that close of quarters just a lot of times gets tipped, and it did that time.
Only 5 turnovers for USC tonight. Jed Miller, the Southern California native, gives it up. And a whistle on the floor. This is on Matt Noling. That's his second, 4th team foul for USC.
Montana State seems to be running their stuff with a little more purpose now. Harder cuts, faster ball movement. That's why they're getting better looks here in the second half.
I mean, Don, they're 54% in the second half and 2 of 4 from 3. There's a turnover, though, and that's the 9th of the game. AG gets in the air.
Good decision.
Noling has it taken away. Miller. It'll stay with Montana State.
We can say all we want, Guy, that they can't play the score, but human nature is tough to deal with. Like, you know what the score is, so are you really going to play with the same intensity, energy, attention to detail to start the game as you are in the second half up 24 points? It's really hard to do.
Especially when you hit the locker room with the game already a blowout, right? Montana State had 21 at the break.
But I'll tell you what'll keep these guys engaged, and I said it in the first half, is the competition for minutes with all these guys. You're still being evaluated out there on how you're playing, any mistakes you're making, no matter what the score is. Claude, not a super athlete in terms of athleticism, but what he does understand, which pro guys understand, change of speed, change of direction. Everybody in the NBA is a great athlete. So if everybody can sit on everyone's speed, how do you get yourself open? How do you get by guys? How do you get to spots? It's all change of speed and direction. And Claude gets defenders off balance and up on their toes and then gets by them. Once you get shoulder to shoulder with a defender, it's over. You're either scoring or you're getting fouled. And Desmond Claude really understands that.
He's got 9 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. And there's AG with the rip down. His 4th rebound tonight. Here comes Claude. AG steps in. And he can't get it to go down. Whole bench was up. They wanted that.
Don't mind it, though. Trail 3, wide open.
Agbankpolo bangs that off the backboard, and it creates a rebound for Montana State. Agbankpolo, a very tough shot, and he can't track down the board, but he creates a situation where St. Thomas can't cleanly grab the rebound. And so Montana State will have the ball when we return.
Running a business gives me enough to deal with, like video.
CLA overcame the 13-point second-half deficit to beat Arizona in Phoenix.
Big-time shot by the freshman Harper. Talk about guys being confident in their ability. That kid can really play.
SC will be at Rutgers this year. That's going to be Rutgers is going to be a fun team to watch in the league this year. Obviously, there's a long list of them.
What's become clear, and we knew this coming into the season, is there's not one team in the Big Ten that's clearly above everyone else. That there's a lot of really good teams, and it's going to be fascinating to watch it unfold in January when we really get into Big Ten play of who can consistently win, who could go on the road and win.
St. Thomas to AG, and it gets ripped away. And it's not just the usual road trips. right?
No.
Especially when you start thinking about teams like SC on the West Coast and teams coming out to the West Coast and get an extra day when they come to LA between games.
Well, the one thing that's different for the 4 Pac-12 teams that are coming to the Big Ten is they used to play Thursday, Saturday for the most part. Now there's at least 2 days in between each conference game.
Which is great if you're, traveling with a team from the Midwest out to LA and it's going to be warm and you get an extra day to hang out on the West Coast.
No doubt.
I think we'll see. We started football season. Big Ten fans traveling out west, and I think we'll see it going the other way too, with West Coast fans getting to go to places maybe they haven't gone to watch their team play before. Going to, like if you're an SC fan, you want to go on the road, you can go to Indiana and Illinois back-to-back games.
Well, I would say this, and I said this from the start. Everyone talks about the travel and how more difficult it's going to be, especially for the 4 West Coast teams. We got Rashawn Agee down on the other end.
You can see him smiling.
Would be Grant.
Yeah. He's got a big smile as he comes to the bench. Let's see if we can.
Just to finish that point, Agee's.
He had you can't see his smile now, but yeah, he had a big smile.
Is the venues that these 4 teams are going to, and how much more difficult it is to play in front of 15,000 people than it was in the Pac-12 for the most part. The only really scary environment in the Pac-12 was in Tucson and McHale Center. And so now you're going to places that are sold out, and how are you going to react to that?
I was watching a game the other night, or the other day, and Robbie Hummel is standing at the broadcast table because the whole crowd, he can't see without standing. And it's just a little bit of a different animal. And we saw, I think we'll see as time goes on, like Oregon is going to host Illinois on January 2nd. Oregon's playing the day before big football game, the Rose Bowl. You win that game, and I would imagine there's towns. We were there the other day after the Big Ten championship game win, and it's a good time to be a Duck fan.
Look, Oregon's a really good team this year, and I think the fans get behind that team for the most part. But when they're really winning, Matt Knight can get going. Yeah. We've seen it in the past.
Free throw from Jeremiah Davis. This is when we restart conference play in 2025. This is some of the early matchups. Maryland and UW.
I'll be at that Maryland UW game. I'm looking forward to seeing Derek Queen live. Seen him obviously on TV, but haven't seen him in person. Looking forward. That'll be a great matchup. Him and Great Osobor. Two similar body types, similar type players. Be a really good matchup.
Here's Abo. He's got 10 points in this game. And a foul away from the ball on Agbankpolo. That is his 4th foul. Oh, they've announced that as number 3. They might have reassigned a foul earlier because his previous foul was number 3. So it's 3 is the correct number on Agbankpolo now.
Pat didn't play in the first half, I just realized.
No, he didn't. But, their last home game, he played well. He did a lot of things, but had a couple of turnovers. It sometimes happens with the freshmen, and came out of that game and saw his minutes go down against Washington in the next outing. They're getting an opportunity here.
Another 6'7", 6'8" guy that can handle it, bring it in transition.
Fires that 3.
Muss isn't going to like that decision.
No.
I'll bring it up in transition, contested 3 off the bounce. Most coaches wouldn't like. I would say all coaches wouldn't like that decision.
Walker gets inside and gets fouled.
Well, especially if you're up 28, guy. Like, what's the hurry? You know, why are you going early clock, no pass possession 3 off the dribble, which is way harder than off the catch?
Jalen Shelley's going to come in for Kevin Patton. We'll get to that in a moment. Experience the expanded Big Ten Conference like never before with Big Ten Plus. Stream thousands of non-televised live events across the Big Ten. Plus, enjoy next-day game replays for every Big Ten game. Subscribe right now at BigTenPlus.com.
Well, I wasn't wrong, I guess.
No, you.
I didn't think he'd get subbed out, but that's how much Muss didn't like that shot.
I mean, it's what happened. He then committed the foul. It's what happened against Oregon, too, where he committed a turnover. I think one thing we're seeing, maybe outside of Yates right now, for the freshmen, the biggest ask appears to be just don't make a mistake.
Yeah.
Play clean.
And again, I could see that for most coaches on most programs with freshmen that, you know, you got to learn, play through your mistakes, but we got to win games too.
There might be different categories of mistakes.
Yes.
That's stripped away. Wow. St. Thomas. Abo. And now a foul on Shelley. Well, transition's been working. Turnovers turning into points for USC. They are dominating this game here tonight.
That's going to open up things for St. Thomas, and he's really answered it here the last 2 games.
Jeremiah Davis gets a second free throw. Montana State averages over 10 made threes a game. They've made 4 of 19 tonight.
When USC's defense is right, this is what it looks like. And we all wondered when Eric Musselman put this roster together, why so many 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" guys? This is why. Because it's hard to score over the top against them on the perimeter. So you run into a team that's a really good three-point shooting team, these big guards just cut it off.
Desmond Claude to toss it in. And Abo wins that jump ball with Jay Mullins. Here's Slacker, who played some good minutes in the first half, back in. Shelley?
Yes. Good decision. Was looking to kick it to the corner. Montana State player jumped the passing lane, knocked down that 14-footer.
Tough assignment here. Walker gets all the way to the rim and gets fouled.
This is a freshman Shelley, so we're talking about playing through mistakes and decisions and all that. Made the right decision, pulled up, knocked it down.
Committed the foul, his second, 9 team fouls now.
I don't have any data to support this thought, but I watched a good amount of games this weekend, and it seemed like there was an uptake in fouls being called for some reason. Like that Arizona UCLA game had a lot of fouls. Illinois Tennessee had a lot of fouls called. So players need to adjust.
Did that game feel physical to you?
They're physical, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have been fouls. I'm just saying that, like, there's a lot of fouls being called, so there has to be a solution for that, to where players guard without fouling.
Yeah. Walker. SC has numbers here. And now Walker finally gets back into play after ending up on the floor on the other end. Claude got clawed on the arm by Jeremiah Davis.
Well, that is the one thing when you talk about USC. They want to get fouled. That's why they try and get in the lane and get to 2 feet and all that so that they can get to the foul line. So when you're playing USC, keeping them in front is the answer. But if you don't, you can't put them on the line, make them make tough shots in the lane.
And Claude gets a second. Montana State started the season, they lost 4 of their first 5. All 4 of those losses were on the road, including the opener against Wisconsin. They won 4 of their last 5 coming into this game. Their 3rd Big Ten opponent of the year also played Northwestern. And Eric Musselman said it before the game. This is a team that if you don't come ready to play, they can get you. Well, his team has come ready to play today. Here's Slacker.
I thought this would be more competitive, obviously. But that just tells you, Guy, how right USC has been the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Like, you and I both agreed that we thought this would be a good game, and it hasn't been just because USC has been so good.
They started at 27-5. That's how the game started, as Jed Miller scores. And despite it, I think there will be no shortage of teach tape on the defensive end, judging by some of Eric Musselman's reactions. Because he knows a big season is ahead in a couple of weeks when Big Ten play starts again.
Well, in my experience being around this game for a long time, what coaches do is they're harder on their team when they're winning versus when they're losing. And I think he wants to keep his foot on the pedal and keep these good performances coming for USC.
That's blocked away by Abo. Eric Musselman shouting at his team to run. It creates a look for Shelley. USC just 1 of 7 from 3 in the second half. And now Shelley commits his 3rd foul. Take a look at the upcoming Big Ten schedule. And Michigan game on Fox on January 4th at Indiana, at Illinois. I mean, Iowa back home and then Wisconsin here. That is a heck of a 5-game stretch.
That's what I was saying earlier, Guy. Like, okay, what game isn't a hard game in the Big Ten this year?
Yep.
Like, and there's probably a couple teams that look like they may not be as ready, but for the most part, top to bottom, this Big Ten is a gauntlet.
Harrison Hornery has come into the game, the lone returning Trojan from last year's team. Had to be away from the team due to a family emergency, went back home to Australia, and has returned to the Trojans. He's chasing the ball right here, wearing 30 in white.
I said this last time we were here, Guy, the Oregon-USC game. I'm surprised more teams don't challenge Desmond Claude to shoot. Like, if I was guarding Desmond Claude, I'd stand 5 feet off and be like, go ahead, shoot it. And so these guys close to him, and he gets by him, and he causes so many problems for the defense. Make him a shooter.
Hornery can't quite save that. It creates an opportunity for Montana State, and then Hornery fouls Jeremiah Davis. 79-51. USC looking for its 7th win of the season. They're doing it again this evening. Domination at the Galen Center earlier as well. From the 5th-ranked team in the nation on the women's side, USC, Juju Watkins had 26 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Kiki Iriafinan added 18 and 7. And USC held Elon to 30 points, which ties the fewest points allowed in a game in program history. They've won 8 of their 10 games by at least 30. And next Saturday on Fox, they will go play UConn, a rematch of an Elite 8 meeting last year. A lot going on. Eddie Czaplicki, the Ray Guy Award winner for the USC football team. A couple of first-team All-Americans named for the women's soccer team.
Newsflash, Watkins is pretty good.
She is a huge star. Walking in today, the women played before the men's game at noon, so several hours before. But even arriving for this game, there were people out on the sidewalk selling Juju Watkins T-shirts.
And there was probably people buying them.
And there were people lined up to buy them. As Claude can't connect with Isaiah Elohim and a turnover for USC. 10th of the day. You just feel it showing up as the fans were leaving. So much buzz around that women's team, Lindsey Gottlieb squad. Not just a star player, but one of the top teams in the country. As now Bryce Polk is going to come back in for USC.
I was going to say, I'm surprised Des Claude is still in there with this big of a lead.
Well, we mentioned it earlier. Terrence Williams, the production there without, since he broke his wrist against Oregon. He plays 32 minutes a game. That is most on the team.
Well, and I think, we've talked a lot tonight about their three-point shooting and how there needs to be more balance with that. He was going to be a big part of that. He was 41% last year at Michigan. So him not being out, they can kind of load to Abo, who's the main three-point guy now. But it would have been nice for Muss to have Williams on one side, Abo on the other.
Right. Here's Slacker.
Slacker was 30-plus a night in high school. He's from my area and watched him play a good amount of times. Oak Park, yeah.
Elohim. What did you average? High school?
Which year?
The best one.
32.
Okay. And how many threes were you taking?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Elohim. It goes off of Montana State. It'll stay with USC.
That's a Matt Logie to get Jed Miller a lot of run. Probably a lot of friends and family here for him. Which Agoura Hills is right next to Oak Park. Guy Haberman, geography lesson for you.
LA geography is we need a few seasons, I think, to get everybody caught up to speed on that. And a foul. Shelley getting aggressive with aggressive defense from Bryce Seffer, who's also from Southern California. He's from Carson. There is Terrence Williams. When he'll be back, it's still very TBD, but he's got a cast on the right arm.
Which that makes it even harder when you talk about recovery and coming back. Is it your shooting hand, shooting wrist? It would, not that you want to get hurt at all, but if it's the other hand, you can at least get some reps in with your shooting hand. Get the strength back in it now. It just takes longer to get yourself back to where you were.
It's the fifth time SC has scored 80 this season. They had that three-game stretch where they lost. They had that tough New Mexico loss, the St. Mary's game, and the Oregon loss. Two of those coming in Palm Springs. But now the Trojans will win two in a row. CSUN, difficult challenge. Kind of what you thought this would be. Coming up next, Bryce Polk strokes the three.
Pope could do that, but you're right, and that's why I mentioned in the first half when talking about the schedule, these games that USC should win, but continue to build off what they've started last week in Seattle.
Fouls on Clark Slackers. SC shooting right at 49% for the night. And still 4 of 21. That was the biggest key. When we asked Eric Musselman today, key tonight, he said 3-pointers before you could even finish the question. And a team that averages over 10 is 19%.
Well, and that's part of defense, understanding the defensive game plan based on the scouting report. Can you execute it? The attention to detail to take away the other team's tendencies or what they do well. And USC certainly did that tonight.
Here's Pope, passes up the 3, and the flip is good. Under a minute now remaining here in regulation.
These guys are probably realizing right now this is a great win and everything, but our reward is we get to go back and study more for finals.
That's right. Finals continue. It's a Wednesday to Wednesday final schedule here at SC. So finals started last Wednesday. They'll finish this Wednesday. There's the 5th 3 of the night for Jeremiah Davis. And a foul is called. Underneath, this is Elohim. Was it a hook and hold under the basket on the shot?
I think I heard dead ball technical foul.
Okay. Oh, the push at the end. So not a hook and hold. A shove in the back. So the technical.
I'm just glad they didn't have to look at it.
So were they. So the Jed Miller homecoming night with 6 points for him. 7 points rather for him. Well, this cuts into what was the biggest lead of the night for USC at 31 for those free throws. Jeremiah Davis and Hornery the board. Shot clock is off. Jalen Shelley doesn't see the stop sign from Eric Musselman and scores. Bryce Zephyr.
These guys are playing like there's 15 minutes left in the game.
You only get so many chances, Don. You only get so many games. You only get.
But that, if you really want to talk about it,
yeah.
Because Shelley didn't back it out,
right.
You get this at the other end. Right. There wouldn't have been a shot either way.
Eric Musselman had the stop sign up, screaming to just pull the ball out and not shoot. And Hornery will dribble it out.
You
and
sure?
That'll do. Yes, I'm positive. He put up the stop sign himself. End to end for the second game in a row, a wire-to-wire dominant performance from USC for their 7th win of the season. We'll be back to wrap it up from LA after this.